It all started with an idea and a war. Imagine a group of 20-something outsiders, nerds in hoodies, immigrants with impossible dreams and Stanford dropouts, forging the future of money in a tiny office with pizza boxes stacked to the ceiling. Then imagine, from that unlikely team, emerging the titans who would later build Tesla, SpaceX, LinkedIn, YouTube, Yelp, and Palantir. This is the story of how Elon Musk, with a wild bet, a bruising ego war, and unstoppable ambition, accidentally unleashed the PayPal Mafia and changed Silicon Valley forever. If you think this is the only thing, this is all you didn't know about the Elon Musk and Pepe story. Just wait until you hear. It's impossible to talk about the achievements of the PayPal Mafia without setting the scene for what the internet was actually like in these days. It was the Wild West days of the internet. People still paid for things by mailing checks. Shopping online? Too risky. Transferring money? Practically a fantasy. But into this chaos stepped a new breed of dreamers. In South Africa, a skinny, awkward kid named Elon Musk was reading Isaac Asimov and daydreaming about Mars. Bullied and beaten up, he found refuge in books and code. By 17, he'd fled to Canada, then to the US, hungry for bigger opportunities. At the University of Pennsylvania, he'd stay up all night debating physics and philosophy, then sleep on the office floor. His first big idea was X.com, an online bank. I thought, if we could just make money work on the internet, like really frictionless, that would change everything. However, at the same time, across Palo Alto, another group had a similar idea. Max Levchin, a brilliant, intense Ukrainian immigrant who loved cryptography. Peter Thiel, a Stanford law grad who saw the world through the lens of power and contrarian philosophy. Together, they founded Confinity with a tiny product called PayPal to beam money through Palm Pilots. Two tiny companies, same idea, on a collision course. We are diving into a more interesting part of the story, and your rapt attention is needed. All right, let's go. By 2000, both startups were burning cash at an alarming rate. The dot-com bubble was frothy, the competition was fierce, credit card fraud was rampant. Then someone floated a radical idea. Why not merge? And so, X.com and Confinity joined forces, creating what we now know as PayPal. But from day one, it was messy. Peter Thiel's camp was cautious, methodical, and obsessed with building strong encryption and fighting fraud. Elon Musk's camp was all about speed, growth, blitz scaling. Musk wanted to rebrand everything under X.com, even though people thought it sounded like a porn site. There were legendary arguments over the name, over technology, even over whether to run on Microsoft or Unix. It was like putting two alpha wolf packs in the same cage. Tensions reached a boiling point. Engineers threatened to quit. Managers drafted secret memos. Meanwhile, PayPal was signing up thousands of new users every day, but losing money on every transaction due to fraud and promotion incentives. What if I told you one of the most important parts of the story of PayPal was the incident that happened to Elon Musk in 2002? The next chapter will unveil further mind-blowing events that happened in 2002. You don't want to miss out on this. Their story wasn't just about creating PayPal. It was about fighting off fraudsters, clashing with eBay, taking on government regulators, and outsmarting powerful banks who saw them as a dangerous upstart. Together they faced a storm, and somehow they all survived and thrived. In the late 1990s, the internet was exploding, but there was a gaping hole. People could browse, but sending money? That was a nightmare. When they merged in 2000, it was like matter meeting antimatter. Sparks flew, ideas collided, egos clashed, but out of that chaos emerged PayPal, a new way for ordinary people to email money. They worked insane hours, sleeping under desks, coding all night. They had one mantra: get big fast. Because they knew either PayPal would conquer the internet or die trying. The PayPal team didn't just face technical problems. They were under siege from all sides. Hackers tried to steal money daily. Max Levchin led a relentless anti-fraud team, building machine learning systems before AI was a buzzword. Credit card companies threatened to cut them off. Reid Hoffman flew out to meet banks, charming them into trust. The U.S. government nearly shut them down over money laundering fears. Peter Thiel worked the political angles to keep regulators at bay. Competitors like eBay tried to squash them, but PayPal users loved it so much, eBay had no choice but to eventually buy them. At one point, they were burning $10 million a month. They launched referral bonuses so aggressive that it seemed insane, paying people just to sign up. The investors were terrified. But inside PayPal, the Mafia didn't blink. They were all in. By 2002, PayPal had exploded to over 1 million active users, a colossal number back then. They went public, and within months, eBay, their former rival, bought them for $1.5 billion. It was a payday that made millionaires out of dozens of young founders and early employees. But more importantly, it forged bonds of trust. They had faced down every possible threat together and won. For a brief electric moment in history, these minds were all aligned on one mission: make money move across the internet as easily as sending an email, and they did it. In the fall of 2000, with Elon away on his honeymoon, the board, led by Thiel's allies, executed a coup. Peter Thiel replaced Elon Musk as CEO. It was brutal. Elon was stunned, but he kept a cool public face. He remained the largest shareholder and stayed on the board. Meanwhile, Thiel stabilized the company. Max Levchin built an AI fraud detection system that saved PayPal from collapse. Within months, PayPal went from the brink of disaster to the hottest property in Silicon Valley. In 2002, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion. Musk walked away with around $180 million after taxes. Thiel, Levchin, and the others became millionaires overnight. But the story was far from over. Talking about Pape Mafias, it's possible so many things come to your mind, but trust me, the lessons unveiled in the next chapter are about the Mafia's early involvement in PayPal, their roles, and when they left. They had fought together in the trenches, slept under desks, raced to survive. And now they had cash, connections, and scars that taught them how to win. Elon Musk launched SpaceX to make humans multiplanetary, then used it to save Tesla from bankruptcy. Elon Musk founded X.com in 1999, which later merged with Confinity, PayPal. He provided the original aggressive growth vision, pushing online banking and seamless payments. Pushed branding under X.com, though this later caused friction. Sadly, in October 2000, while Musk was on his honeymoon, the board replaced him as CEO with Peter Thiel during a power struggle. He stayed on the board until PayPal's IPO and eBay acquisition, then cashed out. Peter Thiel seeded Facebook, founded Palantir, and became Silicon Valley's Dark Knight. Reid Hoffman, who later started LinkedIn, joined PayPal as Executive Vice President and COO, effectively handling operations and business development, helped scale the user base, and navigate regulatory challenges. Known as the adult in the room to balance the intense founders, he, however, left shortly after the eBay acquisition in late 2002, went on to found LinkedIn in 2003. Jeremy Stoppelman and Russell Simmons are two other people who joined PayPal at the time. Jeremy Stoppelman was an engineer and early product lead who helped scale the core product, while Russell Simmons was a technical engineer who helped build key back-end systems. Well, they both left after eBay's acquisition, then co-founded Yelp in 2004. Peter Thiel was another person to reckon with when talking about the founding of PayPal. He was a co-founder of Confinity, which had the original PayPal idea, transferring money via Palm Pilots, then email. Interestingly, he became the CEO after the merger coup, replacing Musk. Strategically led the company to stabilize finances, reduce fraud, and prepare for IPO. He negotiated the sale to eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion. Peter Thiel left after the eBay acquisition in October 2002, cashed out shares, and started investing, notably seeding Facebook. Luke Nosek is another force that cannot be ignored in the story of PayPal. He, co-founder of Confinity, handled early marketing strategies and growth hacking, known for his unconventional viral strategies to grow user adoption. PayPal's $10 sign-up bonuses. He left soon after the eBay acquisition in late 2002, went on to co-found Founders Fund with Thiel. There's another man called Roelof Botha who served as CFO and helped take the company public in February 2002. He managed financial strategy, pricing models, and investor relations. His stay was also short-lived, as he left shortly after eBay's acquisition in late 2002, then became a star venture capitalist at Sequoia, funding companies like YouTube, Instagram, and WhatsApp. How about these three men who played a major role in the early days of PayPal? Their names are Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jad Karim. Chad Hurley was a PayPal designer, responsible for the user interface and early branding. Steve Chen was an engineer, and same like Jad Karim, who was not only an engineer but also a fraud detector and core infrastructure foreman. They all left after the eBay sale in 2002 and later founded YouTube together in 2005 and eventually sold it to Google for $1.65 billion. Max Levchin, a co-founder and CTO of Confinity, who built the core anti-fraud detection algorithms crucial to PayPal's survival, known as the Igor system, a real-time risk engine. He handled the engineering team and the relentless security arms race, stayed briefly after eBay acquired PayPal in October 2002, then left to start new ventures like Slide, later sold to Google. David Sachs was another Mafia who served as COO, Chief Operating Officer, after the X.com/Confinity merger. He managed the product roadmap and day-to-day operations, helping streamline costs and push the product to scale. He, however, left after the eBay acquisition in 2002, then founded Yammer in 2008, later sold to Microsoft for $1.2 billion. Well, these were not just startups. They were the new pillars of the internet. In a strange way, the fights, the long nights, the bruising power struggles, it bonded them like brothers, like a mafia. And wherever one went, they hired or funded the others. They shared secrets. They backed each other's companies. Together, they reshaped Silicon Valley's DNA. While the rest of the PayPal mafia scattered across the tech landscape, Elon Musk went on the most audacious run in business history. He poured almost all his PayPal money into SpaceX and Tesla. At one point, he was borrowing money to pay rent, even as Tesla and SpaceX teetered on the edge of bankruptcy. People called him reckless, a clown, and a pretender. Then, in 2008, both companies hit breakthroughs. SpaceX launched the Falcon 1, reaching orbit. Tesla finally delivered the Roadster. Amazingly, today, SpaceX dominates rocket launches, Tesla dominates electric cars, and Elon is worth over $200 billion, making him the richest man alive. It all traces back to a cramped office in Palo Alto, where young, hungry immigrants and misfits risked everything to change how money moved on the internet. They became a self-sustaining ecosystem. They funded each other, they hired each other, they trusted each other. If PayPal had failed, Silicon Valley might look completely different. Instead, it unleashed a wave of companies that shape how we work, play, travel, communicate, watch videos, shop, and even plan to colonize Mars. But behind the glamour lies a darker side. Peter Thiel's Palantir has been criticized for enabling mass surveillance. Tesla factories have faced allegations of harsh working conditions. Elon himself has become a lightning rod on social media, stirring controversies with a single tweet. The PayPal Mafia's fingerprints are on both the wonders and the worries of our modern tech-driven lives. So what can we learn from this? 1. Battles forge loyalty. The Mafia stuck together because they fought through hell together. 2. Contrarian ideas pay off. In the late 90s, an online payments company seemed crazy. Now it's obvious. 3. Bet big on your convictions. Musk risked every dollar twice, first on X.com, then on SpaceX and Tesla. 4. Build networks, not just companies. The PayPal Mafia didn't just get rich, they seeded an entire generation of startups. They began as warriors in a startup foxhole, fighting server crashes, sleepless nights, credit card fraud, and even each other. But when they left PayPal, they didn't just walk away with money. They walked away with scars, with bonds forged in fire, and with a blueprint to conquer Silicon Valley itself. Peter Thiel, the dark strategist. After PayPal, Peter Thiel became the philosopher king of Silicon Valley. He seeded Facebook with a $500,000 check, the most legendary angel investment in history. He built Palantir, the big data giant that helps governments hunt terrorists and track fraudsters. He also shaped the culture with his contrarian essays, funding thinkers who dared to challenge the mainstream. Thiel backed Musk early, even defending him in Tesla's rough days. Yet Thiel's cold, strategic style is far from Elon's bombastic, seat-of-the-pants daring. Today, they are allies of mutual respect. Both billionaires, both radically changing industries, though rarely seen in the same ventures. Max Levchin, the code architect. Max Levchin was the paranoid genius who built PayPal's fraud detection, arguably saving the company from ruin. Post-PayPal, he founded Slide, sold it to Google, then launched Affirm, reshaping how we buy with instant credit at checkout. Max once joked that Elon was unbelievably aggressive, and they butted heads daily. But he respects Musk's sheer audacity. They rarely collaborate now. Yet Max publicly praises SpaceX and Tesla's engineering feats. Reid Hoffman, the connector. Reid Hoffman, PayPal's adult in the room, went on to create LinkedIn, connecting the world's professionals. He became a super angel investor, funding Facebook, Airbnb, and more. Hoffman remains one of Musk's defenders. When critics called Musk reckless, Reid would point to Elon's long game. They share the same networks, occasionally appear at conferences together, yet each follows their empire. David Sacks, the operator. David Sacks, PayPal's COO, launched Yammer, sold it to Microsoft for $1.2 billion, and became a sharp political voice in tech circles. Sacks is publicly bullish on Musk's mission. They often trade tweets, occasionally echo each other's critiques of legacy systems. Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, Jawed Karim, the video visionaries. The three PayPal engineers and designers left to create YouTube, forever changing how we consume media. Google snapped it up for $1.65 billion. Musk wasn't deeply tied to them post-PayPal. Yet the Tesla marketing playbook, viral videos, jaw-dropping launches, thrives on the platform they built. Roelof Botha, PayPal CFO, became a star at Sequoia Capital, funding giants like YouTube, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Roloff's firm Sequoia considered investing in Musk's ventures, though direct ties are limited now. They share respect as two titans who understand how to bet. Luke Nosek, the space true believer. Luke Nosek, the quirky growth hacker behind PayPal's viral loops, co-founded Founders Fund with Thiel, which became an early investor in SpaceX. Among the closest post-PayPal ties, Luke was one of Musk's first major backers for SpaceX, helping turn Elon's Mars dream into real rocket steel. Jeremy Stoppelman and Russell Simmons, the local guides. They left PayPal to build Yelp, transforming how we pick restaurants, plumbers, and local gems. Not closely linked to PayPal. But Yelp thrives on the same digital trust principles PayPal pioneered. While the rest built software and platforms, Elon Musk took his PayPal fortune and gambled it on the hardest industries imaginable: rockets and cars. Nearly bankrupt by 2008, he clawed back, launching SpaceX to Mars, making Tesla the world's most valuable automaker, and buying Twitter, now X, to reshape public discourse. In the end, the PayPal Mafia didn't just conquer Silicon Valley. They split into different galaxies. Yet in investor dinners, at TED Talks, or sometimes quietly over encrypted chats, they still orbit each other, bound by those sleepless nights and that near-death startup war. Remember, it all began with a simple question: what if we could move money on the internet? That question didn't just change banking. It built Tesla, sent rockets to space, and launched the platforms where we connect, laugh, and share our lives. So next time you watch a YouTube video, check your LinkedIn, hail a Tesla ride, or read about Mars. Remember, it all started in a tiny office, with some pizza boxes, a lot of arguments, and a dream that the internet could change everything. Their empires touch nearly every corner of modern life, from how we pay, to how we watch, to how we plan for the future. They disagree, they debate, but together they embody a single truth. From one cramped PayPal office, they launched an empire that might one day touch Mars itself. If this story made you think, inspired you, or took you down memory lane, don't let it end here. Hit that like button to support our work, subscribe for more powerful stories like this, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the rise or the fall of the next big empire.